Heather had just been on one of the best dates of her life, and at 38, these kinds of dates were becoming almost non-existent. But after 5 days, she still hadn't heard from him, and she never would. She was devastated and ready to quit dating altogether. That's when she came to me looking for help. I had her start asking this one question on all her dates, and a few weeks later, she had 2 different quality guys chasing after her, wanting to see her again. What was this question, and how did it completely change her love life? Well, to understand that, we first have to look at what she'd been doing completely wrong on all of her previous dates. I'll tell you a bit about what she was doing. See if you can spot her mistakes. See, Heather had always been a hopeless romantic. She dreamed of the perfect love story. Like most of us, she wanted to find a charming, handsome partner with a great sense of humor to spend the rest of her life with. So once she found someone she was attracted to who was interested in her as well, she'd fall into a really common trap that many of us fall into. She felt like she only had one chance to show him just how wonderful she was and make him realize that she was everything that he'd ever wanted in a woman. And she thought that she could do that by loving everything he loved, by wanting to do everything he wanted to do, and by showing him just how much they had in common, even when they really didn't. If he liked golf, then she liked golf. If he was into Monday Night Football, then she was into Monday Night Football. If he liked the beach, then she liked the beach. Well, okay, she actually did like the beach. I mean, who doesn't, right? But you get what I mean. She approached dating like it was a job interview, and she had to present herself to be exactly what they wanted. She worried about everything she said, did, wore, or even thought. She was always second-guessing herself, wondering if she was good enough, pretty enough, or smart enough. Of course it was exhausting. So the first mistake that Heather had been making was being so focused on trying to impress him that she had forgotten to be true to herself. She was just putting all of her energy into being whatever she thought he wanted her to be. And that's not only exhausting, but it will only lead you to a guy who's the wrong one for you. Which brings us to the second big mistake that Heather was making. She was feeling absolutely exhilarated after 2 amazing dates with a guy named Michael. She'd met up with him for drinks, and afterwards they went out for a long walk along the waterfront and had a great time. They had a real connection, and Heather couldn't help but feel like he could be the one that she's been waiting for. So when a nice guy she'd met the week before texted her and asked her out, Heather politely declined. She didn't want to jeopardize things with Michael. But as the days passed, Heather found herself checking her phone every 20 minutes just to make sure that she hadn't missed a text or call from him. She knew it was crazy, but she just couldn't help herself. She was infatuated. And of course, as more days went by, she felt herself getting even more and more depressed every time she got a notification that wasn't him. She kept recounting the entire date over and over again in her head, trying to figure out what she'd done wrong, said wrong, or what she could have possibly done to blow it again. After 5 days, she broke down and she texted him. She never got anything back. She'd been ghosted. She realized that she'd made her second big mistake, becoming too invested too soon. She was absolutely devastated. She finally thought that she'd found her needle in the haystack, but now it was gone, lost. And that's exactly how she felt. She was ready to just burn the whole haystack down and forget about dating altogether and just enjoy the rest of her life watching Bridgerton with her cat socks. Which brings us to the third, and really the biggest mistake that Heather commonly made in the early stages of dating, and it's the number one reason that causes men to lose interest. If you could only change one thing about how you approach dating, this would be my top pick, because fixing this completely changes the dynamic of dating and almost guarantees that he'll want to see you again. In fact, if Heather had done this with Michael, she might not have even wanted to see him again. See, she was so enamored with him that she didn't even notice so many of the little things he did on their date. Like that he was checking out the cute server at the restaurant as she walked away. Or that he didn't ask her much about herself at all during the date, since he did most of the talking about himself. All she knew was that he looked so good on his profile, he ticked all of the boxes she was looking for. And most importantly, she felt that chemistry, the butterflies bouncing off the walls in her stomach whenever he would text or call her. It had her thinking things like, he's out of my league, or I can't believe he picked me. She was making her third and biggest mistake. She was putting him up on a pedestal, which then put her in the mindset of having to prove herself to him and feeling like she didn't deserve a guy like this. Had she seen his red flags, she would have realized this is not a man she wanted to be with long term, but her blinders were on. That's when she came to me wanting to know why, as she was approaching 40, despite several relationships, she'd never been able to find the kind of love she wanted. Trying to figure out what she needed to do, what she needed to be, to change into so she wouldn't be rejected again. I had her change one simple thing, and it was to ask this one question on all her dates, and it's what turned everything around for her. The question was one she needed to ask herself. What do I really know about this man except that I'm attracted to him? This one question speaks volumes, and it automatically changes her mindset from I hope he likes me to I'm interested, but he's going to have to prove himself to me if he wants to continue seeing me. Her new mindset automatically changed the way that she interacted with men, both online and in person, and it made all the difference in the world. Once she made the shift, within a few weeks, she had several good men chasing after her to spend Saturday night with them. Now, I know that old habits can be hard to break, and it's not easy changing your mindset like this. In order for this mindset shift to work the way it did for Heather, you need to build your confidence first, and I'll show you how in this video right here. I'll see you there, beautiful.